Barbara Corcoran, the well-known businesswoman and television personality famous for her sharp insights on Shark Tank, once orchestrated one of the most unforgettable and unconventional birthday celebrations imaginable. She decided to fake her own death as the centerpiece of her 70th birthday party, transforming what could have been a standard gathering into an elaborate prank that left her closest friends and family in complete shock. She later described the event as nothing short of the best party of the century, a bold claim backed by the sheer audacity and theatrical flair involved. The idea took root when Barbara learned that her friends were secretly planning a surprise party for her. Instead of letting them have the upper hand, she saw an opportunity to flip the script entirely. She confided in one close girlfriend about her knowledge of the plan and declared her intention to turn the tables. Rather than arriving home unsuspecting, she devised a scheme where her guests would believe she had passed away. This required meticulous preparation, turning her home into a convincing facsimile of a funeral parlor. Her brother played a key role in the setup. As friends gathered upstairs in her duplex, preparing for what they thought would be a joyful surprise, he directed them downstairs with the news that Barbara had returned from the airport. They descended expecting to greet her warmly, only to walk into a scene straight out of a dramatic funeral. There, laid out in an open coffin, was Barbara herself, motionless, eyes closed, perfectly still. She had arranged every detail to heighten the realism. Rows of chairs for mourners, priests, rabbis, nuns and other figures dressed appropriately to represent various faiths and solemnities. The room was transformed into a somber space where people could pay their respects. Her guests were utterly convinced. Barbara recounted hearing their gasps of horror as they entered and saw her body. For a full 10 minutes she remained completely immobile, not twitching or betraying the joke in any way. Friends approached the coffin, some overcome with emotion, believing they had lost her unexpectedly. They began sharing heartfelt words, things they admired about her, memories they cherished, and even a few honest critiques of her personality or habits. It was an extraordinary moment because, as she later reflected, how many people ever get the rare chance to overhear what others truly think and feel about them after they're supposedly gone? She got to experience that unfiltered eulogy firsthand, lying there in silence while people poured out their thoughts. Among the most memorable reactions came from her own family. Barbara and her husband Bill Higgins had adopted their daughter Katie in 2005, and at the time of the party, Katie was around 9 years old. The little girl, standing near the coffin, delivered a line that cut through the tension with innocent bluntness. "When do we get the money?" It was a child's straightforward question about inheritance, spoken in the midst of what everyone else took as genuine grief. Barbara remembered it vividly, noting how it captured the pure, unfiltered perspective of a young mind amid the adult theatrics. She also has a son, Tom, who was in his 20s by then, adding another layer of family presence to the gathering. The prank reached its climax when Barbara could no longer contain herself. She suddenly rose from the coffin, alive and vibrant, dressed in a stunning red Carolina Herrera gown that made her look radiant. Music, specifically Diana Ross's "I'm Coming Out," though she referenced it in spirit as a triumphant declaration of being alive, filled the room as she launched into a celebratory dance, including a tango. The shift from mourning to jubilation was instantaneous. Guests who moments earlier had been in tears or stunned silence now erupted in laughter, relief, and disbelief. The reveal was as perfectly timed as the build-up, turning shock into pure joy. Even the staff and performers were in on the act. The DJ himself was costumed as a priest, adding to the immersive atmosphere. Everyone involved contributed to the illusion, making it feel authentic until the very end. Barbara emphasized how convincing it all was. Her friends truly believed she had died and their reactions were raw and genuine. The aftermath brought its own surprises. The next morning, when Barbara ventured downstairs, her doorman greeted her with the news that word had spread online and elsewhere that she had passed away. Rumors of her death had circulated based on whatever whispers or misinterpretations escaped from the party. Far from being upset, Barbara took it as a compliment, a best report card of sorts. It showed just how believable the stunt had been, even beyond the walls of her home. In reflecting on the experience, Barbara highlighted the uniqueness of it all. She got to witness love, appreciation, criticism, and humor directed at her deceased self, then spring back to life to join the celebration. It was a once-in-a-lifetime way to mark a milestone birthday, blending dark humor, family bonds, and bold creativity. She posted about it afterward, describing how after 90 friends and family paid their respects, she emerged from the coffin to dance and revel in the moment. Her philosophy was simple. You only die once in such a prank, so why not be present to enjoy the resurrection? The party became legendary among those who attended, a story they would retell for years as the ultimate surprise that turned mortality into merriment.